My photo taste is the Pinterest because they are best.
Kick off, to begin or cause something to begin. Pass the baton, so to give responsibility for something important to another person or group. And wrap up, to finish something. Okay, so how are these stories, how are these words appearing in the news stories?
Well, we have kick off. Let's kick off with kick off.
Good idea.
It covers this one from the New York Post. Closing ceremonies kick off in Rio. And then we also have from the drum, Super Mario. Japan's PM kicks off Nintendo branded Olympics closing ceremony.
Okay, so I know kick, but what's this got to do with kicking?
So kick-off, it actually is a sporting idiom. It comes from football, and the word, when a football game begins with one player kicking the ball, and that one kick is called the kick-off. It means beginning the match. But we use it in a broader context, not just sporting, to just say something started.
Okay, so like we kicked off this programme by talking about the phrasal verb kick off.
We did indeed, yes, you can use it for any context at all. And it's interesting because you can use it with or without an object. So let's look at it without an object. And that one here, we have the headline, Closing Ceremonies Kick Off in Rio.
So just meaning start.
Exactly. And then with an object, we have, Super Mario, Japan's PM kicks off, that's the verb, and then the object is the Nintendo branded Olympics closing ceremony.
So he causes to start.
Exactly that.
I also heard kick off, particularly in British English, when people get angry, they start kicking off.
Yes.
Slightly different use of the word.
It is, except it means to start something, but in this case, not start a match or a meeting, it means to start a fight or an argument. So you're at a party and people are drinking a bit too much and somebody gets a bit loud and argumentative. You can say, oh no, I think he's going to kick off.
Things are kicking off in
Things
here.
are kicking off, yes. Oh, it's all kicked off, whatever, yes. So to become angry and start a fight or an argument.
Fortunately, that didn't happen in the Olympic ceremony, though.
Thank goodness, yes.
What about the next one? We also have another sports-related idiom here, don't we?
Yes. So in Sky News, we have Rio closing ceremony passes Olympic baton to Tokyo.
So in a relay game, in the sport, we pass the stick. So I pass the baton
Thank
to
you.
you.
And I start running and win another gold medal for
that
learning English.
But that doesn't mean that here, does it?
No.
We're not literally passing a stick.
You're not literally passing a stick, but what you are doing is you're passing responsibility for something that you were responsible for, and now you hand the responsibility over to someone else because it's their turn. So it's all very kind of nice and agreed, and it's not a bad thing to happen. It's exactly saying it's your turn to take this responsibility, so I'm going to give the responsibility to you. So in this case, Rio was responsible for the Olympics. Now it's Japan's turn, so they have passed the Olympic baton. They've given the responsibility to Tokyo.
And Tokyo have taken the baton.
You can say that, yes. Took the baton,
Picked up
yes.
the baton,
Picked up
yeah.
the baton, yes. Yeah, all of those work.
And if someone retires, they can pass the baton on to somebody else for their role or their job.
Yes, when I retire, Sean, I will pass the baton.
That's a long time off there, Catherine. And how about the final one? We've got an appropriate one to finish off.
Yes, so we have from this one, the Sydney Morning Herald, closing ceremony, rainy Rio wraps up challenging Olympic Games on upbeat tropical note.
So lots of ruz there.
There is rainy Rio wraps up, yes, interestingly, which you get a lot of in headline writing. Headline writers love to use what it's called alliteration, where you use several words starting with the same letter, or the same sound. Rainy Rio wraps up. And wrap up is a phrasal verb which means to finish, as we know.
So literally, if you wrap something up, you cover it. Like if you wrap up a present, you cover it in paper.
Yes, I guess. Yeah, it does mean that. You can wrap something up covering it. You can wrap up a baby in a blanket.
Yes.
Often you wrap things up and then you put them away. So something you don't use very often. You might cover it and put it in a
finished
cupboard. Yeah. And we use it in an idiomatic sense to say finish. To finish something is to wrap it up. You can use it again with or without an object. So rainy Rio wraps up the Olympic Games, or you can just say Let's wrap up.
Let's wrap up. Or it's a wrap. In film and TV programmes, it's often it's a wrap. We've
Yeah.
finished recording.
Yes, and then after you finish recording, you have a wrap party.
Should we have a wrap party today?
Yes.
Okay, well now let's wrap up this conversation by listening to Tim Allman, who's reporting for the BBC. Listen out for how he uses the phrasal verb to kick off.
Like the opening ceremony, the closing ceremony had plenty of fireworks and lots of vibrant colour. As Carmen Miranda played, the athletes arrived. This time, instead of separately, nation by nation, they came in as one. What was described as the spirit of togetherness, the Olympic spirit. Then, the symbolic handing over of the Olympic flag. Japan, the host 4 years from now, getting the chance to hint at what might be coming in 2020. The country's Prime Minister, Shinzo Abe, kicking things off, dressed as one of the Super Mario brothers.
Okay, so that was Tim Allman, and he said that Japan's Prime Minister kicked off the ceremony as a Super Mario brother.
Interesting.
That's a hint of what's going to come in 4 years' time. Okay, so we set you a Facebook challenge, and we set another football idiom. So we said, if you blow the whistle on someone, what do you do? Do you A, report an illegal activity, B, stop talking to someone, or C, finish a meeting? What kind of response did we get, Catherine?
As usual, we had a very good response on Facebook, lots and lots of answers. A few people didn't get it right, but almost everybody said A, report an illegal activity. So well done everybody, including Vera Dairit, Marcia Gomez and Mohammed Haider, who all got it right. And also special mention to Andy Tsai, who said it's the same as whistleblower. And
good.
a whistleblower is a person who reports an illegal activity. So well done everyone.
Well done. Okay, so to wrap things up, can you give us a recap of the words we've heard today, Catherine?
I can. We had kick off, which means begin or cause something to begin. Pass the baton, which means give responsibility for something important to another person or group. And wrap up, which means to finish something.
Okay, thank you very much. And go to our website, bbclearningenglish.com, for more information about this story and to practice those words. I think it's a wrap, so goodbye.
Goodbye.
News review from BBC Learning English. News review from BBC Learning English.
Hello and welcome to News Review, the programme where we give you the words and phrases to help you talk about the news. Hi, I'm Sian, and with me in the studio today is Catherine. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Sean.
What story do you have for us today?
Today, Sean, we have a story about an ending.
Ooh, can you guess what it is? Let's listen and find out.
The Olympic Games have officially ended with a colourful ceremony in the Maracanã Stadium in Rio de Janeiro. The entertainment included Brazil's world-famous samba music. The president of the Rio Organizing Committee, Carlos Arthur
My photo taste is the Pinterest because they are the best. Flick to link, link to flick.
I'm going to talk a little bit about where technology is going. And often technology comes to us. I'm going to talk a little bit about where technology is going. And often technology comes to us, we're surprised by what it brings, but there's actually a large aspect of technology that's much more predictable. And that's because technological systems of all sorts have leanings, they have urgencies, they have tendencies. And those tendencies are derived from the very nature of the physics, chemistry of wires and switches and electrons, and they will make reoccurring patterns again and again. And so those patterns produce these tendencies, these leanings. You can almost think of it as sort of like gravity. Imagine raindrops falling into a valley. The actual path of a raindrop as it goes down the valley is unpredictable. We cannot see where it's going, but the general direction is very inevitable. It's downward. And so these baked-in tendencies and urgencies in technological systems give us a sense of where things are going at the large form. So in a large sense, I would say that telephones were inevitable, but the iPhone was not. The internet was inevitable, but Twitter was not. So we have many ongoing tendencies right now, and I think one of the chief among them is this tendency to make things smarter and smarter. I call it cognification, also known as artificial intelligence, or AI. And I think that's going to be one of the most influential developments and trends and directions and drives in our society in the next 20 years. And so, of course, it's already here. We already have AI, and often it works in the background, the back offices of hospitals, where it's used to diagnose X-rays better than a human doctor. It's in legal offices where it's used to go through legal evidence better than a human paralawyer. It's used to fly the plane that you came here with. Human pilots only flew it 7 to 8 minutes. The rest of the time, the AI was driving. And of course, in Netflix and Amazon, it's in the background making those recommendations. That's what we have today. And we have an example, of course, in a more front-facing aspect of it with the win of the AlphaGo, who beat the world's greatest Go champion. But it's more than that. If you play a video game, you're playing against an AI, but recently Google taught that their AI, to actually learn how to play video games. Again, teaching video games was already done, but learning how to play a video game is another step. That's artificial smartness. And what we're doing is we're taking this artificial smartness and we're making it smarter and smarter. And there are three aspects to this general trend that I think are underappreciated. And I think we would understand AI a lot better if we understood these three things. And I think these things are also would help us embrace AI, because it's only by embracing it that we actually can steer it. We can actually steer the specifics by embracing the larger trend. So let me talk about those three different aspects. The first one is our own intelligence has a very poor understanding of what intelligence is. We tend to think of intelligence that it's a single dimension, that it's kind of like a note that gets louder and louder. It starts like with IQ measurement. It starts with maybe a simple low IQ in a rat or a mouse, and maybe there's more in a chimpanzee. And then maybe there's more in a stupid person, and then maybe an average person like myself, and then maybe a genius. That this single IQ intelligence is getting greater and greater. That's completely wrong. That's not what intelligence is, not what human intelligence is anyway. It's much more like a symphony of different notes, and each of these notes is played on a different instrument of cognition. So there are many types of intelligences in our own minds. We have deductive reasoning, we have emotional intelligence, we have spatial intelligence, we have maybe 100 different types that are all grouped together. And they vary in different strengths with different people. And of course, if we go to animals, they also have another basket, another symphony of different kinds of intelligences. And sometimes those same instruments are the same that we have. They can think in the same way, but they may have a different arrangement, and maybe they are higher in some cases than humans, like long-term memory in a squirrel is actually phenomenal, so you can remember where it buried its nuts. But in other cases, they may be lower. And when we go to machines to make them, we're going to engineer them in the same way, where we'll make some of those types of smartness much greater than ours. And many of them won't be anywhere near ours because they're not needed. So we're going to take these things, these artificial clusters, and we'll be adding more varieties of artificial cognition to our AIs. We're going to take them and we're going to make them very, very specific. So your calculator is smarter than you are in arithmetic already. Your GPS is smarter than you are in spatial navigation. Google, Bing, are smarter than you are in long-term memory. And we're going to take, again, these kinds of different types of thinking and we'll put them into like a car. And the reason why we want to put them in a car so the car drives is because it's not driving like a human. It's not thinking like us. That's the whole feature of it. It's not being distracted. It's not worrying about whether it left the stove on or whether it should have majored in finance. It's just driving. Just driving, okay? And we actually might even come to advertise these as consciousness-free. They're not without consciousness. They're not concerned about those things. They're not distracted. And so, in general, what we're trying to do is trying to make as many different types of thinking as we can. We're going to populate the space of all the different possible types or species of thinking. And there actually may be some problems that are so difficult in business and science that our own type of human thinking may not be able to solve them alone. We may need a two-step program, which is to invent new kinds of thinking that we can work alongside of to solve these really large problems, say like dark energy or quantum gravity. So what we're doing is we're making alien intelligences. You might even think of this as sort of artificial aliens in some senses. And they're going to help us think different because thinking different is the engine of creation and wealth in new economy. So the second aspect of this is that we are going to use AI to basically make a second industrial revolution. The first industrial revolution was based on the fact that we invented something I would call artificial power. So previous to that, during the agricultural revolution, everything that was made had to be made with human muscle or animal power. That was the only way to get anything done. And the great innovation during the Industrial Revolution was we harnessed steam power, fossil fuels to make this artificial power that we could use to do anything we wanted to do. So today when you drive down the highway, you are, with the flick of a switch, commanding 250 horsepower, which we can use to build skyscrapers, to build cities, to build roads, to make factories that would churn out lines of chairs or refrigerators way beyond our own power. And that artificial power can also be distributed on wires on a grid to every home, factory, farmstead, and anybody could buy that artificial power just by plugging something in. And so this was a source of innovation as well, because a farmer could take a manual hand pump and they could add this artificial power, this electricity, and he'd have an electric pump. And you multiply that by
Flick to link, link to flick.